Every word you speak either builds your authority or destroys it. Most people talk to be heard. Leaders talk to be understood. The difference is tone, timing, and presence. This audiobook will teach you how to command attention without shouting, persuade without begging, and influence without forcing. Because communication isn't about volume, it's about control. Control your words and you control the room. Control the room and you control your future. Chapter 1. Stop talking, start leading. Silence is your power. Every second you hold before speaking builds anticipation. Every pause is a statement of control. Leaders use silence as a weapon. Followers fear it. The average person talks to fill space. The leader talks to fill minds. And that difference, that single, invisible difference, defines influence. Most people talk too fast because they're afraid of being forgotten. They rush to prove they matter. They think more words mean more respect. But the truth is simple: the more you talk, the less they listen. You have a choice. You can speak to be noticed, or you can speak to be remembered. You can chase attention, or you can command it. That's the key. Leaders don't chase the room. They control it. They control it not with noise, but with restraint. They control it by being comfortable in silence while others drown in it. When you speak less, you force others to listen more. When you wait before answering, you teach people that your words are worth waiting for. And when you pause before reacting, you project control, not chaos. Repeat this truth until it becomes your instinct. Pause before you speak. Pause before you react. Pause before you decide. Silence gives you space to think. It slows your heartbeat. It shows people that you are in command not just of the conversation but of yourself. Because leadership begins with self-command. If you can't control your impulse to talk, you can't control your direction in life. You've met people who can't stop explaining themselves. They talk, justify, overshare, defend. They waste power trying to prove what's already visible. That's insecurity disguised as communication. Leaders don't explain. They declare. They don't justify. They decide. They don't fill silence. They own it. When you walk into a room, your silence should speak before your mouth does. Your calmness should set the tone. Your composure should make noise louder than words. That's the presence of a leader. It's not what you say first, it's what you hold back. Think of the greatest leaders you've seen: military commanders, CEOs, coaches, mentors. They never rush their words. They speak in rhythm, not panic. They pause, they breathe, they measure. And when they finally speak, it lands like a hammer. Their silence builds tension. Their tone releases it. That's not luck, that's discipline. Discipline of the mouth. Discipline of emotion. Discipline of timing. You can learn it. But it starts with awareness, noticing when you talk just to escape silence. Next time you're in a conversation, watch yourself. Feel that urge to interrupt, to fill the gap, to prove your point faster. Catch it. Then pause. Let silence work for you, not against you. You'll feel uncomfortable at first. That's your ego panicking. Your ego hates silence because it can't hide there. But your leadership grows in that exact space, in that pause where you resist the urge to speak. You don't need their permission to be quiet. You don't need to rush to respond. You don't need to outtalk anyone. You win by outlasting them, by making them fill the silence you control. That's real communication power. Every pause becomes pressure. Every quiet second makes them lean in. You train others to value your words by saying fewer of them. In a world addicted to noise, silence becomes your advantage. Everyone's yelling opinions, chasing attention, posting non-stop. But the leader steps back, observes, and then speaks one line that cuts through the chaos. Because the leader understands impact isn't in volume, it's in precision. Silence is not weakness. It's strategy. It's not passivity. It's positioning. You are not being silent because you have nothing to say. You are being silent because you're choosing when to say it. You are not holding back out of fear. You are holding back out of focus. You are not waiting because you're uncertain. You are waiting because timing is your strength. That's the difference between reaction and response. Anyone can react. Leaders respond. Reaction is emotional. Response is strategic. Reaction creates chaos. Response creates clarity. You have to train that pause. Train it every day, in meetings, in arguments, in conflict. Train yourself to hold that moment where you'd normally speak. That's your edge. And if you want to develop presence, true presence, that's where it begins. Presence isn't posture or fancy language. Presence is calm. Presence is patience. Presence is the ability to stand still while others lose control. When people see you calm under pressure, they start to trust you. When they trust you, they listen. And when they listen, you lead. So stop filling your life with useless noise. Stop talking about your goals, start executing them. Stop defending your value, start demonstrating it. Stop reacting emotionally, start responding intentionally. Silence isn't just for speaking. It's for living. Be silent when they insult you. Your silence will expose their weakness. Be silent when they doubt you. Your results will answer louder than words. Be silent when you're angry. Your control will separate you from the crowd. You have a choice. You can be another voice in the noise, or you can be the voice everyone waits to hear. Remember this: leadership doesn't start when you speak. It starts when you stop talking long enough to listen, to the room, to others, to yourself. And when you finally speak, your words will carry the weight of silence behind them. So practice it. In your next conversation, hold a pause 2 seconds longer than you're comfortable with. Observe how the energy shifts. That's power. That's control. That's leadership. Pause before you speak. Pause before you react. Pause before you decide. Make it your mantra. Because silence builds leaders. Noise builds followers. And you were never meant to follow. You've learned the power of silence, the foundation of all authority. Now it's time to give that silence a voice. Not just any voice, the voice that moves people, influences minds, and shapes direction. Let's talk about the sound of real leadership. Chapter 2. Tone is more powerful than words. Your tone communicates more than your vocabulary ever will. You can memorize 1,000 words, but if your tone is weak, no one will hear them. Calm tone equals control. Emotional tone equals weakness. People don't follow words, they follow energy. They follow certainty. They follow presence. That's the truth most never understand. You don't need perfect words to sound like a leader. You need a tone that commands respect before the sentence even ends. Think about it. When a calm person speaks in a storm, everyone listens. When a loud person panics, everyone tunes out. Because volume doesn't equal strength. Control does. Your tone reveals your state of mind. If you speak fast, you sound nervous. If you speak high, you sound uncertain. If you speak with hesitation, people sense confusion. But if you speak slow, steady, and sure, people feel leadership. That's the key. Slow down your words. Speed up your authority. Every great communicator knows this. They don't rush. They don't compete for attention. They own attention by mastering tone. When you slow your voice, you project power. When you drop your volume slightly, people lean in. When you pause, you make people anticipate. It's not a trick, it's psychology. Because humans associate calmness with competence. When your tone is calm, you sound like you know the answer, even if you don't yet. And when your tone is reactive, you sound like you lost control, even if you're right. That's why leaders train their tone as much as their message. They know the delivery shapes the impact. Your words tell people what to think. Your tone tells them how to feel. You can say, "I'm fine," in a calm tone and sound unbothered. You can say the same words in a tense tone and sound defensive. Same words, different worlds. That's how powerful tone is. So here's your reality check. If people don't listen to you, it's not because your ideas are bad, it's because your tone doesn't match your message. Your tone must carry conviction. Your tone must carry clarity. Your tone must carry control. Because control equals credibility. Slow down your words. Speed up your authority. Repeat that until it becomes instinct. You don't need their permission to sound confident. You don't need to fake deep words. You just need to control your delivery. You have a choice every time you speak. To sound reactive or composed, to sound insecure or certain, to sound desperate or deliberate. Choose deliberate. When someone challenges you, don't rush to defend yourself. Speak slower. Drop your tone. Let calmness do the talking. They'll feel your authority before they hear your argument. When a situation gets tense, most people raise their voice. Don't. Lower it. Make people quiet down to hear you. That's how you lead the room, not by shouting louder but by sounding steadier. You've seen this in real life. Think of great leaders, presidents, CEOs, military commanders, mentors. They speak slowly. They use pauses like weapons. They stretch their sentences with intention. Their tone says, "I'm not reacting. I'm choosing." Their tone says, "I don't need your approval. I already have clarity." And clarity is magnetic. People are drawn to voices that sound certain, not loud. You can test this yourself. Next time you talk, slow your pace by 20%. Feel that power shift. Your mind clears. Your words gain weight. That's what happens when tone takes control. Your pace is your power. If you talk fast, you're signaling fear. If you talk slow, you're signaling control. It's not about sounding robotic, it's about sounding grounded. Grounded people move slower. Grounded people breathe deeper. Grounded people make others feel safe. That's leadership. So train it. Train your tone like a muscle. Every morning, practice reading something slowly, slower than you want to. Record it. Listen back. Ask yourself, do I sound calm, certain, grounded? If not, slow it down again. It takes repetition. It takes awareness. But once you master tone, you'll change how people see you forever. Because tone builds trust before logic does. People feel tone before they process meaning. Your tone tells their brain whether to listen or ignore. That's why emotionally reactive people never sound like leaders, they sound like victims. And leaders never sound like victims, they sound like anchors. So anchor your tone. You anchor it by breathing slowly. You anchor it by pausing between thoughts. You anchor it by controlling your pitch and pace. When you speak slower, people don't think you're slow, they think you're in charge. When you breathe deeper, people don't see weakness, they sense confidence. When you pause before responding, people don't assume fear, they assume power. Because silence plus tone equals control. You don't need to rush to fill space. You need to own space through composure. Composure is contagious. When you speak calmly, others calm down. When you keep your tone steady, others match it. That's how you lead energy, not through commands but through presence. And presence is built through tone. Think of your tone as your signature. It's how people remember you when you're not in the room. Was your voice frantic or firm? Was it sharp or steady? Was it forced or flowing? Every conversation trains people how to treat you. If your tone always sounds emotional, they'll test your limits. If your tone stays calm and direct, they'll respect your boundaries. That's the truth of influence. Not everyone will agree with you. But if your tone is solid, they'll still respect you. Respect doesn't come from shouting your worth. It comes from sounding like you already know it. So slow your tone down. Let calmness replace urgency. Let presence replace performance. Let silence replace struggle. Remember, tone doesn't just communicate, it transfers emotion. If you sound panicked, people feel panic. If you sound stable, people feel safe. That's why your tone is your most powerful leadership tool. Train it every day. Record yourself when you're angry. Record yourself when you're calm. Listen to the difference. That's how you measure your growth, not by what you say but how you sound saying it. Because tone is more powerful than words. Words can lie. Tone cannot. Words can be forgotten. Tone is felt. Words can be borrowed. Tone is earned. Slow down your words. Speed up your authority. Say it until you believe it. Speak less emotionally. Speak more intentionally. Speak with patience. Speak with purpose. Speak like every word carries weight, because it does. When your tone changes, your impact changes. When your tone stabilizes, your influence multiplies. And when your tone commands, your leadership begins. You've learned how to control your tone, the hidden frequency of authority. But leadership isn't just about how you sound. It's also about how much you say and how much you don't. Let's sharpen your communication even more. Chapter 3: The Art of Saying Less. People respect clarity, not complexity. Leaders strip away fluff until only power remains. This is not optional. This is the difference between influence and noise. You have a choice every time you speak. Add more words to impress or remove words to impact. That's the key. Fewer words, stronger impact. Less talk, more influence. Repeat it. Internalize it. Live it. Too many people talk to be liked. Too many people over-explain because they fear silence. Too many people confuse quantity with authority. But leaders do the opposite. Leaders measure their words. Leaders prune their sentences like a sculptor shaping marble, removing everything unnecessary until only strength remains. Clarity is power. Complexity is a mask for weakness. If you need long explanations, chances are you're unsure. If you need fewer words, chances are you're confident. When you speak less, your words gain weight. Silence becomes the amplifier for your message. People lean in to fill the gaps. People respect the space you create. You have a choice. You can fill the room with noise, or you can create space for authority. You can perform to be noticed, or you can pause to be remembered. Fewer words, stronger impact. Less talk, more influence. Let's talk about why people overtalk. It's fear. Fear of judgment. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being ignored. It's insecurity disguised as explanation. You've been there. You ramble in meetings. You repeat yourself in conversations. You talk faster when you're nervous. That's the exact opposite of leadership. Leaders slow down. Leaders choose clarity over quantity. Leaders trust their audience to catch up. Every extra word you add dilutes your message. Every unnecessary explanation steals authority from your tone. Every ramble reduces your impact. You have a choice. You can keep talking, or you can say exactly what matters. Fewer words, stronger impact. Less talk, more influence. Think about the greatest leaders, speakers, and influencers. They don't speak to impress. They speak to instruct, persuade, and move action. Their words are sparse, but they land heavy. Every sentence has a purpose. Every pause carries weight. When they speak, you listen. Not because of volume. Not because of fancy words. Because every word counts. That's your lesson. Every word must earn its place. Stop explaining what doesn't need explaining. Stop justifying what doesn't need justification. Stop adding filler that clouds your point. Control your words and you control perception. Control your perception and you control influence. Fewer words, stronger impact. Less talk, more influence. Here's a real-world example. Two managers give feedback to their teams. Manager A talks for 20 minutes, explaining every detail, defending every choice, repeating instructions. Manager B speaks for 2 minutes, gives clear directives, answers key questions, then stops. Who gets remembered? Who gets respected? Who inspires action? The answer is obvious. The second manager. Why? Because brevity signals certainty. Certainty commands respect. Respect builds influence. Fewer words, stronger impact. Less talk, more influence. Let's break down how to practice this daily. Right before you speak. Even mentally. Know what your point is. Know your goal. Then speak only to achieve that goal. Trim the fat. Every word that doesn't add value is a distraction. Remove it. Remove it. Remove it. Pause before responding. Give yourself 2 seconds. Let the silence work. Let the listener lean in. Let authority emerge. Measure your sentences. Short sentences carry more power than long-winded paragraphs. Short bursts equals memorable impact. You have a choice. You can ramble like everyone else, or you can sculpt words into weapons. You can speak to be heard, or you can speak to be remembered. Fewer words, stronger impact. Less talk, more influence. People often fear that saying less will make them seem weak. Wrong. Saying less signals control. Saying less signals confidence. Saying less signals authority. When you reduce your words, you remove opportunity for error. You remove opportunity for misinterpretation. You remove opportunity for weakness to show. Leaders are not always the loudest in the room. Leaders are the ones whose words land like a strike. Leaders are remembered long after they leave the room. Fewer words, stronger impact. Less talk, more influence. Now let's get practical. When giving instructions, remove adjectives. Remove adverbs. Remove extra phrases. Get straight to the point. Say what matters and stop. When answering questions, don't over-explain. Answer the question. Stop. The urge to elaborate is your ego. Ignore it. When debating, don't fill space with emotion. Speak your point once. Then observe. Let silence make them think. Let your tone carry weight. This is how leaders command rooms. This is how leaders gain respect. This is how leaders make influence unavoidable. Fewer words, stronger impact. Less talk, more influence. Repeat this mantra until it becomes instinct. Every word you speak must earn its place. Every pause you take builds authority. Every sentence must move the mission forward. Stop using words to perform. Start using words to lead. Because clarity is remembered long after complexity is forgotten. Because authority is built in the space between words, not in the words themselves. Fewer words, stronger impact. Less talk, more influence. You've learned how to sculpt your words into power, how brevity builds authority and silence amplifies influence. But what about the voice behind those words? The tone, the rhythm, the control that turns those few words into unstoppable leadership. That's what we'll explore next. Chapter 4. Emotional control is communication control. You cannot lead if you cannot regulate. Every word you speak, every movement you make, every pause you take, it is all shaped by your emotional state. Emotions leak through your tone, posture, and timing. If you let fear, anger, or impatience take over, your authority disappears. That's the hard truth. The calmest voice always wins. Repeat it. Internalize it. Live it. Imagine a negotiation. The stakes are high. The room is tense. Two people sit across from each other, both vying for control. One person panics. Their voice rises. Their words scatter. Their tone trembles. The other remains calm, measured, precise. Every pause deliberate. The calmest voice always wins. It's not the smartest argument. It's not the flashiest line. It's not the most dramatic performance. It's the calmest voice. Your emotions are your secret weapon or your secret weakness. If you can regulate your internal state, you control the external outcome. If you let emotions rule you, you give control away. You have a choice. You can react or you can respond. That's the difference between chaos and authority. Most people confuse emotion with passion. They think showing their feelings proves strength. Wrong. Leaders don't prove strength. They demonstrate control. Leaders manage their energy, not just their words. Every gesture communicates. Every expression communicates. Every tone communicates. You cannot separate emotion from communication. They are one and the same. The calmest voice always wins. The calmest tone always persuades. The calmest body always convinces. When you are calm, you force others to match your energy. When you are frantic, you invite panic. When you are measured, you inspire trust. Think of world-class negotiators, CEOs, diplomats, coaches. They don't yell. They don't panic. They don't over-explain. They remain neutral, controlled, calm. Because neutrality signals authority. Control signals competence. Calmness signals dominance without aggression. You have a choice. You can let your feelings dictate your words, or you can dictate your words despite your feelings. How do you develop this control? Step 1. Recognition. Notice when your emotions are rising. Notice the tension in your voice. Notice the impulse to interrupt, overreact, or over-explain. Step 2. Pause. Take a breath. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. That pause is the difference between losing control and seizing it. Step 3. Reframe. Instead of reacting to frustration, focus on the outcome. Instead of reacting to criticism, focus on the next strategic move. Instead of reacting to pressure, focus on your purpose. The calmest voice always wins. Emotional control is not about suppression. It's about channeling. It's about mastery. It's about choosing which feelings you allow to influence your words and actions. When you speak under control, people listen. When you act under control, people follow. When you lead under control, people respect. Conversely, when you speak out of emotion, people resist. When you act out of emotion, people rebel. When you lead out of emotion, people doubt. You have a choice. You can let emotion run the show, or you can run emotion. The calmest voice always wins. Repeat it again, the calmest voice always wins. Say it in your mind. Say it before you speak. Say it until it becomes instinct. Here's a practical example. A manager faces a heated disagreement in a meeting. One team member is raising their voice, criticizing the plan, and creating tension. The manager could respond defensively, yell back, or try to force agreement. Instead, the manager takes a breath. Their tone remains even. They listen. They ask clarifying questions. The energy in the room shifts. The tension deflates. The team recalibrates. Calm wins. Every time. Another example. A negotiator is at the table facing a tough counterpart. Everyone else in the room is panicking. Offers are being rejected. Pressure is mounting. The negotiator remains neutral, steady, controlled. They ask the right question at the right moment. A deal is closed. All because they mastered emotion. Now let's connect this to communication control. Your voice carries your emotions. Your words reflect your emotions. Your posture projects your emotions. You cannot fake leadership if you cannot control emotion. A shaky voice gives away uncertainty. A hurried tone gives away desperation. A stiff posture gives away tension. Control emotion, control the message. Control the message, control the perception. Control the perception, control the outcome. The calmest voice always wins. Here's how to practice. Daily check-ins. Observe yourself when you're frustrated, excited, or nervous. Notice how your voice changes. Notice how your words shift. Breathing drills. Before responding to stress, inhale deeply. Exhale fully. Speak after the exhale. Control begins in the breath. Mindful pauses. In conversation, pause deliberately before reacting. The pause signals authority. It allows emotion to settle. It gives control to you, not the situation. Repetition. Say to yourself, the calmest voice always wins. Repeat it before meetings, calls, negotiations, or presentations. Let it guide your energy and your words. The truth is simple. Emotional control is leadership control. If you let anger, fear, or impatience dictate your words, you forfeit influence. If you manage emotion, you amplify authority. The calmest voice always wins. It wins in arguments. It wins in negotiations. It wins in meetings. It wins in life. Your calmness sets the standard for everyone else. Your restraint creates trust. Your measured words build credibility. You have a choice. You can react like everyone else, chaotic, loud, emotional, or you can respond like a leader, calm, deliberate, strategic. Remember, this isn't a trick. This isn't manipulation. This is mastery. Master yourself and you master the room. Master the room and you master influence. The calmest voice always wins. The calmest tone always convinces. The calmest presence always leads. Say it again, the calmest voice always wins. Let it echo in your mind before you speak. Let it guide your body before you act. Let it shape your life before you react. You have the choice. Use it. Regulate your emotions. Control your tone. Command respect. You've learned how to control your emotions to control your communication. But influence isn't just about internal control. It's also about timing, knowing when to speak, how to pause, and when to act. Next, we'll uncover the true power of timing. Chapter 5. Master the timing game. Timing separates amateurs from authorities. It is the invisible force that dictates whether your words land or vanish. Say the right thing too early, it's ignored. Say it too late, it's irrelevant. Say it at the right moment, and it commands attention, respect, and action. Leaders don't rush words, they deliver impact. Repeat it. Memorize it. Make it your instinct. Most people misunderstand timing. They think communication is about saying the right thing. It's not. It's about saying the right thing at the right moment. Timing is presence. It's sensing when to speak, when to wait, and when to strike. It's reading the room before opening your mouth. It's understanding energy before making your move. When someone is emotional, timing is patience. When someone is distracted, timing is focus. When someone is defensive, timing is calm. The wrong moment ruins the right words. The wrong words ruin the right moment. Timing binds them together. Leaders don't rush words, they deliver impact. Think about any skilled negotiator, coach, or CEO. They don't speak first. They wait. They observe. They analyze. They let the room reveal itself. Then they speak, not to fill silence but to dominate it. Amateurs speak immediately. They react. They try to impress. They flood the conversation with noise. Leaders wait. They assess. They move strategically. Every pause is a decision. Every delay is a test. Every calculated moment adds weight to your presence. Timing is not hesitation. Timing is mastery. It is not weakness. It is authority. It is not procrastination. It is deliberate execution. Leaders don't rush words, they deliver impact. Here's a practical example. A manager in a tense meeting observes a conflict rising between two team members. An inexperienced manager jumps in immediately, trying to resolve it on the spot. The team feels rushed, misunderstood, and tension increases. A skilled manager waits, listens, watches, waits some more. Then, with precise words and calm tone, addresses the conflict. The resolution lands. Respect is earned. Tension dissolves. Timing made the difference. The same words spoken too soon would have failed. Another example. A public speaker pauses before revealing the key point of their presentation. The audience leans in, anticipating. When the point is finally delivered, it lands like a hammer. Had it been rushed, it would have been ignored. Timing creates anticipation. Timing creates authority. Timing creates influence. Leaders don't rush words, they deliver impact. How do you master timing? Step 1. Observe before you speak. Scan the energy of the room. Listen more than you talk. Notice the emotional state, the focus, and the attention of your audience. Step 2. Pause intentionally. A well-timed pause is more powerful than a paragraph. Pause to let information sink in. Pause to let tension build. Pause to make your presence felt. Step 3. Respond, don't react. Reaction is immediate and uncontrolled. Response is calculated and deliberate. Leaders respond. Amateurs react. Step 4. Use the rhythm of speech. Vary your pace. Slow down to emphasize key points. Speed up to create urgency. Change tone to signal importance. Timing is not just when you speak, but how you deliver it. Leaders don't rush words, they deliver impact. Timing is also critical in decision-making. Too early and you act without enough information. Too late and you miss opportunity entirely. Leaders sense the exact moment to act. It's not luck. It's pattern recognition. It's not guesswork. It's discipline. Every time you speak, you are either enhancing your authority or undermining it. Timing determines which outcome occurs. Leaders don't fill silence with noise. Leaders use silence to build anticipation. Leaders know the exact moment to speak, and when they do, it lands perfectly. The wrong timing destroys credibility faster than the wrong words. Words without timing are wasted energy. Energy without timing is chaos. Leaders don't rush words, they deliver impact. Here's a real-world tip. When someone interrupts or challenges you, don't respond immediately. Breathe. Pause. Consider. Your silence communicates control. Your measured response communicates mastery. When giving instructions, don't overwhelm with too much information at once. Time your points strategically. Deliver critical information first. Let less important details follow. Your message lands with precision. When negotiating, never be the first to reveal your position. Wait. Listen. Gauge. React strategically. Timing gives you leverage. Timing gives you authority. Timing wins. Leaders don't rush words, they deliver impact. Timing is also the art of patience. Most people speak because they feel they must. Leaders speak because the moment is right. The room, the energy, the context, all dictate timing. When you master timing, you transform influence. You turn ordinary words into decisive commands. You turn ordinary conversations into strategic advantages. You turn ordinary presence into undeniable authority. The calmest, most deliberate person always leads the room. Practice this. In every conversation, count to 2 before responding. Observe reactions before continuing. Deliver points with rhythm, not rush. Track how people respond. Timing matters more than words. Every pause, every breath, every delayed response is an investment in authority. Leaders don't speak faster than their thoughts. Leaders speak slower than the room expects. Leaders measure every word against impact. Leaders don't rush words, they deliver impact. Remember, the right words at the wrong time are worthless. The wrong words at the right time are dangerous. The right words at the right time are unstoppable. Timing is presence. Timing is energy. Timing is influence. You have a choice. You can speak without thinking, reacting like everyone else, or you can master the rhythm of authority. Leaders don't rush words, they deliver impact. Say it. Repeat it. Internalize it. Make it instinct. Leadership begins when your words align with your control. You don't need louder words. You need stronger presence. You don't need faster responses. You need calmer pauses. Every time you open your mouth, you're either building your authority or breaking it. So stop talking to impress. Start communicating to impact. Speak slower. Listen deeper. Control your tone. When you master your words, you master perception. When you master perception, you master influence. And when you master influence, you lead. Your challenge begins now. For the next 24 hours, speak less, pause more, and listen with intent. Watch how people lean in, not because you spoke, but because you led.